Hey folks, welcome back to our channel. So today we're going to talk about how to shorten the barrel of your WE M16. In this case, it's an XM177 E2, and that's the E2 version, is the one with a little bit slightly longer barrel. And really, this works really for pretty much any gun, basically. But the concept of this is really important because this XM177 E2 model that you can get from WE, really, after this conversion, it becomes the baseline model for how you can branch off and make your own variant of it, either the M733 Commando. It's a very popular platform that people really seem to like, but it's just not very readily available. Yes, there's one from Tokyo Marui that's an electric variant, right? And you might be able to get some that's really expensive though, and so this is the best way to get a cheaper baseline model and then just convert the barrel by chopping it off. There are some variations, like whether you see the movie Heat or in the movie Black Hawk Down, and those we'll talk about in a little bit later, but let's get into details of how we can do this. So I want to start off by first saying that this is how this gun originally came, from WE. It actually came from Eva, like this, and I can't believe they had the nerve to send it to me like this. That is the Birdcage flash hider. With the inner barrel sticking out like that, and I had to call them to basically get them to ship the original XM177 compensator / flash hider to come with it. So after they sent me the flash hider, again, I'm not completely sure if this was the original WE one or they just grabbed any standard XM177 flash suppressor to give to me. But basically, I melted off the old plastic Birdcage flash hider and then installed a new one. Now, what you see in this picture here, though, is the flash hider above, and then the middle part right there, that's actually the barrel extension that connected the barrel to the flash hider. So that part there is a little bit kind of like a weaker piece of metal right there. So it's a very thin layer, and it actually causes a lot of stress because the flash hider is actually so heavy. At least, again, that's the one that I was sent, right? And I'm not sure if that's the original or not, but the one that I was sent, it was really heavy. And so when you fire the gun, I'll show you in slow-mo what it looks like, but there's a lot of stress and oscillations that are put onto the gun, and I think that causes that part to eventually crack. So mine is cracked right now. It's on the verge of breaking, and that part is very difficult to replace and find replacement parts for. So in this situation, if we can convert your barrel to a lighter Birdcage style flash hider, that actually will probably help reduce some of that stress that are induced onto the gun. And so the Birdcage, the A2 Birdcage flash hider is shown below right there. So the first thing we start in this process is we need to remove the flash hider and the barrel extension to reveal the inner brass barrel right there. This is the part that we're going to need to cut. So keep in mind we are losing actual barrel length in this process. But as soon as we do that, if you're willing to make that sacrifice, our options are going to be widely available to us. So the way you would cut this barrel is you use a simple tool, a manual tool really, called a Klein tool pipe cutter. This is a tool that basically essentially works by, it's only like 40 bucks. You can get it at Home Depot or any really hardware store, or you can get it online. You release the handle right here to allow the space for the pipe to go through. And then whatever pipe you need to put through, in this case the barrel, you just put it right there. And then basically you tighten it up again, and all the way until you get resistance onto the pipe, so that's holding it in like this. Okay. After that, you basically just continue spinning the pipe. Now, if it's attached to the gun, you can hold on to the barrel, and then just turn the pipe in this motion like so. And as you turn it, right, I'm not going to do it in this situation right now, but as you turn it, it's going to start cutting into the pipe. And as it cuts into the pipe, basically, it allows you to have more room. That gives you more room where you basically continue to turn the knob to push in the knife or the blade into it, and then continue cutting it. And you basically do a rotation, you tighten it more, do another rotation, tighten it again, all the way and repeat the process until it's done. What I didn't know, however, was that As you can see, the next photo is that the pipes. It's a fairly clean cut. It's not like you're using a handsaw right here, but there's still some burrs available in there. And interestingly enough, when I looked it up to find a deburring tool, it turns out that when I looked at the video, it turns out it's actually already included into this device right here. That deburring tool is this thing right here. As you can see at the very edge, this is a little part that basically you stick on the edge of the pipe like this, and then you crank it. And as you crank it like that, it basically shaves off the burrs on the edges that you make to smooth out the barrel. It's very important that you do so, because otherwise, if you don't, the round's going to fly through and hit the burrs, and it's not going to be effective. The round's not going to fly fast enough rate to go through those burrs, and it's going to definitely affect it. In fact, it led to some critical failure of the gun, actually. So what happened was I didn't know about the deburring tool, and then I fired it. The first round was stuck right there. So I'm like, all right, well, why don't I shoot another round to shoot it out? And basically, you're like shooting like a squib, kind of. The second round hits it again, and then it literally broke off a chunk of the BB. That chunk flew out, and it was lodged in there. So there were 2 rounds now lodged in there. So I tried to fire it again, and then the whole thing just shattered, right? And so it just blew out of the front barrel, and it came out like a shotgun blast, basically, of like white plastic chunks. Then a couple more shots, basically, and because the gases can't escape, the rounds can't escape. Basically, when it fires, it hits the edge of the barrel and then bounces back into the receiver and causes this massive jam and basically failure of the gun. It couldn't cycle the bolt back anymore because there were chunks of plastic lodged into the receiver. And of course, the bolt face got stuck with everything. So make sure you do the deburring, use a deburring tool device included on this to remove it. So as you can see here, even though the XM177 uses technically a shorter barrel, I believe it's 10 or 11.5 inch, it uses the same WE M4 barrel, which is a 14.5 inch barrel for the gun. So that's the one on top right there. The one below, after we cut all the marks, you're going to get really about like a 10.5 inch barrel. So yes, we sacrifice some accuracy with this, but again, it's not really significant, or at least that dramatic of an issue. So as you can see, now you have the 10.5 inch barrel inserted into the original barrel. Again, the barrel extension is missing, so it looks like it's a nice snug fit right here. And all we got to do is now choose to have either a barrel extension that we want to have, or we can have the XM177 barrel extension, or have a an A2 flash hider if you can find one from WE. I don't have an Airsoft version, so I can't use it. Or you can mount suppressors on it, like this photo right here. So once you're all satisfied with what you got, basically attach your attachments. In my case, I've decided to make my upper the XM177E1 because now I don't have that barrel extension. I like this look better, and I also don't have an attachable A2 flash hider to really work with to make it more of the commando version. But it looks pretty good in my opinion. This is how it would look like in other angles. Again, it still preserves that whole vintage look, I think, but I'd like that slightly smaller or shorter look to it. As you can see in this photo here. Here's another shot from it with the collapsible stock fully closed. And then just for our reference here, we can just compare that to a full-scale depth to the Marui M4A1 that's unmodified right there. So it's a slight reduction, but it feels so much different when you hold it and you move it. It's very maneuverable, given how short the barrel is. Now, if we're going to truly make it a commando version from like Black Hawk Down or Blood Diamond in this picture right here, notice that upper carrying handle. It's a fixed carrying handle, but it has an A2 style rear adjustment sight to it. It's going to be difficult to replicate that in this model here, but if you were to look at the one from Heat, right here, that's going to be a lot easier to replicate since WE already has a fixed carrying handle with the A1 rear sight here. We're just missing the brass deflector, but that's a small oversight that we can kind of ignore. So you won't really get any one model specifically to just exactly what you need, but I think it's close enough. One of the, I think, the holy grails of classic carbines or these commando versions is that everyone wants to get the either the AR platform that you saw from either Heat, Black Hawk Down, or Blood Diamond. I think the one from Blood Diamond and Black Hawk Down are pretty much from the same company that distribute those firearms, so they are pretty much the same. But so the similar one that you're looking for really is for the M733 Commando version, right? If you see the Marui version, that's the most accessible one, but that's mainly an AEG copy. For gas blowback world, there just aren't too many. There are a couple you can find, but they're really expensive, right? So is it possible to convert this platform here into an M733? Kind of. I think you can come close, but not quite. So in order to do so, you would have to start with a brand new gun. And I think in some ways it would help make this barrel extension last a little bit longer than if you didn't have it. So basically, you would remove the front flash hider and toss that away, but you would keep this extension barrel here, and then you would need to get an A2 flat Birdcage style flash hider and basically attach it to this part right here. Now the reason why I can't swivel this on here is because this is actually an actual real steel M16A2 Birdcage flash hider. Unfortunately, for any of you who are wondering, you can't use the real steel on this. This is actually, the diameter inside of this is actually too small for this to fit here. So no matter how hard you try it, it will not go in, basically. So the threads are just, it's just, the dimensions just won't fit, basically. So if you want to go down that road, you actually have to buy either a 14 millimeter negative clockwise flash hider, probably from WE, preferably, in order to get it. I generally like to get the parts, but any A2 flash hiders that would fit like a 14 millimeter negative clockwise rotate. I might have been saying that wrong, but basically a 14 millimeter negative is what you're looking for, and it would fit into this. So if you can imagine, if you will, it would look kind of like this. Then you would attach that to the front of the barrel. Okay, so then you got the barrel length complete. Yeah, you probably have to change the delta ring here, or the slip ring, because right now it's the flat one. So you want to get the one that's tapered in order to make it more period correct. The teardrop assist, you're going to have to change that. Obviously, you can get the one from WE. They make it for the M4 series, M4A1, their M16A3 model. You can buy it from those model sets, so you know they exist. The hand grip right here, this is obviously, you can tell, this is the A1 version. It doesn't have the little thing sticking out right here. So you would have to replace that to get to the A2. The stock, I would recommend getting the other ones, because there is a slight difference. This is more the M733 Commando. If you look at my Marui video, you'll see that the stocks are different, actually. So you would have to buy a real steel stock to do so. The only part that I think we really can't hide is going to be the upper receiver portion. So what I mean by that is WE the only version that's a fixed carrying handle is the M16A1. So this is the A1 sighting group rear sight right here. For an M733 model, you'll notice that it has the M16A2. That's one of the little windage adjuster at the bottom here, or sorry, on the side, the knobs, and the bottom part for elevation. That same model also has a brass deflector right here, which this model doesn't have. So you're not going to be able to get those unless you get the one that's a detachable carrying handle. But again, if you remember, the M733 had a fixed carrying handle. So again, you can come fairly close if you want to go down that route, and that's not outrageously expensive. Oh, and I forgot, you might have to sand off this part right here. Because remember, that doesn't have a fixed bayonet mount for this model, or at least for the M733 model. But that is pretty darn close, and if you look at the photos from the movie like Heat, where like Val Kilmer is doing the downtown shooting scene, that's pretty close to what you're going to get with this model here. Again, it has that brass deflector right there, so you're not going to quite get that. But So that's a little bit more work, but for those who are interested in going down that route to get that M733 Commando, that's the way to go, I think. And then you'll still have the access to all the WE parts, to maintenance and all that stuff, without having to spend like $600 on like one of those very hidden and very difficult to find and expensive gas blowbacks to get that model you're looking for. And again, remember, the Real Steel A2 Birdcage flash hider does not work. Remember, there's a common theme around here. Some parts work, some parts don't. You know, we've talked about the Real Steel stock working. The forward assist, this is actually a Real Steel forward assist, but remember there was some modification that didn't really work, so you can check out that video later on. Just so the hand guard from the Real Steel worked in here, but then the flash hider doesn't. I believe, I've never tried it for myself, but a lot of folks have said you can get the actual A2 style pistol grip and attach it as well too. But that's how I would recommend going about doing it. Realistically speaking, the amount of work, unless you're really into it, the amount of work you can do, I think it's just easiest to make it converted from the M7 or XM177 E2, which is the standard default that you get when you buy the gun from WE, and just really convert it to the XM177 E1, the one that's shorter barrel right here. And it's short enough that I think it's a worthwhile project to do. Yeah. So I hope you all found that very helpful and at least mildly entertaining. And good luck converting your own M733s or maybe your M4s to shorter carbine or commando versions. So hope you all found that helpful. Let me know if there are any questions below, and see y'all next time.